What if I told you that one of the most shocking and outrageous football styles wasn't born on the streets of Brazil, but was tearing through Europe thanks to a player who never even stepped foot in an academy? This is Kazi Flava, a style that's equal parts brilliance and humiliation. And the man behind it? Yannick Bolasie, the player who brought African street football to the Premier League and left defenders scratching their heads. But how did a kid who started with piece two per match and a free burger for every goal rise to become one of the most talked about players in football history? Believe it or not, Yannick Bolasie's real dream wasn't football. It was music. As a teenager, he spent his time writing rap lyrics, editing his own music videos, and dreaming of performing on stage. Football? That was just something to pass the time. And by the time he turned 16, Bolasie had never stepped foot in a serious football academy. He gave it a try for a few months but got bored and gave up. Instead, he started playing for a local team in England's 8th tier, earning just P2 per match and a free burger for every goal. Frustrated and out of options, Bolasie was ready to quit football altogether and work for his girlfriend's father as a carpenter. It seemed like his football story would end before it even began, but fate had other plans. Bolasie's cousins were professional players, and one of them refused to let him give up. When a teammate got injured at a club in Malta, Bolasie was handed a trial spot. What happened next would change his life forever. When Yannick Bolasie landed in Malta to play for Floriana FC, the odds were still stacked against him. This wasn't a glamorous football career he dreamed of. It was a temporary opportunity that most players wouldn't even consider. But Bolasie wasn't just playing, he was planning. Using skills he learned as a teenager editing rap videos, he started filming his matches and uploading highlight reels to YouTube. His tricks, speed, and creativity were impossible to ignore, and they weren't ignored. Bolasie's clips found their way to his cousin's agent, who passed him around. Suddenly, clubs from all over Europe were watching this unknown player dominate with style. Offers came flooding in. Offenheim, Sturm Graz, and even Argyle. But Bolasie wasn't chasing fame or fortune. He wanted to be close to home. So he chose Plymouth Argyle, marking the start of his journey back to England. And what started as a YouTube experiment had now turned into a professional career. But Bolasie's path was far from easy, and the challenges were just beginning. Yannick Bolasie's move to Plymouth Argyle wasn't the breakthrough he had hoped for. The club didn't see him as ready for the championship, so they repeatedly sent him out on loan. His first loan move, with fans already preparing for another failed season. But something incredible was about to happen. But with Bolasie's dazzling tricks and Wilfried Zaha's unmatched speed, the duo became unstoppable. Defenders didn't know who to focus on, and as Zaha later admitted, they would double mark me, leaving Bolasie free to work his magic. By October, Palace had climbed out of the relegation zone and into the top four, setting their sights on the promotion playoffs. Bolasie wasn't just playing, he was dominating. In the playoff semifinal, with the game locked at 0-0 after 160 minutes, it was Bolasie who created the magic. His incredible play set up the goal that sent Crystal Palace to the final. Bolasie's flair, work rate, and determination had helped Crystal Palace turn their season around. They were now just one game away from returning to the Premier League, and Bolasie was ready to give everything to make it happen. The stage was set. Crystal Palace had fought their way to the promotion playoff final at Wembley. For Yannick Bolasie, this was the moment he had sacrificed everything for. But things didn't go as planned. Palace struggled to break through, and tensions were rising. Fans were holding their breath, waiting for a moment of magic. And then, with the game hanging in the balance, Bolasie stepped onto the pitch. His energy, his flair, his unshakable determination, it was exactly what Palace needed. In a crucial moment, Bolasie's dazzling footwork left defenders stunned as he delivered a perfect cross, setting up the goal that would define the game. When the final whistle blew, Crystal Palace had done it. They were back in the Premier League. And though Bolasie wasn't in the starting 11, his contribution was undeniable. For the fans, he was more than a player. He was a hero. With Crystal Palace now in the Premier League, Yannick Bolasie was ready to take on football's biggest stage. But this wasn't just about survival, it was about proving he belonged among the elite. Week after week, Bolasie left defenders baffled. His creativity and skill were unmatched, forcing seasoned players to rethink their strategies. Even top managers couldn't ignore his impact. And then came the moment that silenced every doubter. Against Sunderland, Bolasie delivered a jaw-dropping hat-trick. 3 goals in just 11 minutes, cementing his place in Premier League history. For the fans, he wasn't just a player, he was an entertainer, someone who brought the magic of street football to the grandest stage. Every match felt like a highlight reel. Okay. From the 8th tier of English football to the Premier League spotlight, Yannick Bolasie's journey was nothing short of extraordinary. And for those who watched him play, one thing was clear. Bolasie wasn't just a footballer. He was an inspiration.